Gerasim returned to Moscow just at a time when it was hardest to find work. A short while before Christmas, when a man sticks even to a poor job in expectation of a present. For 3 weeks, the peasant lad had been going about a vain, seeking a position. He stayed with relatives and friends from his village, and although he had not yet suffered great want, it disheartened him that he, a strong young man, should go without work. Gerasim had lived in Moscow from early boyhood. When still a mere child, he had gone to work in a brewery as bottle washer, and later as a lower servant in a house. In the last 2 years, he had been a merchant's employee, and would still have held that position had he not been summoned back to his village for military duty. However, he had not been drafted. It seemed dull to him in the village. He was not used to the country life, so he decided he would rather count the stones in Moscow than stay there. Every minute it was getting to be more and more irksome for him to be tramping the streets in idleness. Not a stone did he leave unturned. In his effort to secure any sort of work, he pledged at all of his acquaintance. He even held up people on the street and asked them if they knew of a situation all in vain. Finally, Gerasim could no longer bear being a burden on his people. Some of them were annoyed by his coming to them, and others had suffered unpleasantness from their master on his account. He was altogether at loss what to do. Sometimes he would go a whole day without eating. One day, Gerasim betook himself to a friend from his village, who lived at the extreme outer edge of Moscow, near Salkanik. The man was coachman to a merchant by the name of Sharov, in whose service he has been for many years. He had ingratiated himself with his master, so that Sharov trusted him absolutely and gave every sign of holding him in high favor. It was the man's glib tongue, chiefly, that has gained him his master's confidence. He told on all the servants, and Sharaf felt him for it. Gerasim approached and greeted him. The coachman gave his guest a proper reception, served with tea and something to eat, and asked him how he was doing. Very badly, Yegor Danlik, said Gerasim. I've been without a job for weeks. Didn't you ask your employer to take you back? I did. He would take you again. The position was filled already. That's it. That's the way you young fellows are. You serve your employers so, and when you leave your jobs, you usually have made it up the way back to them. You ought to serve your master so that they will think a lot of you. And while you come again, they will not refuse you, but rather dismiss the man who has taken your place. How can men do that? In these days, aren't any employers like that, and we aren't exactly angles either. What's the use of wasting words? I just want to tell you about myself. If for some reason or other I should ever have to leave this place and go home, not only would Mr. Sherlock I come back take on me again without a word, but he would be glad to do. Gerasim sat there downcast. He saw his friend was boasting and occurred to him gravity to him. I know it, he said. But it's hard to find men like you, Igor Danilek. If you were a poor worker, your master would not have kept you 12 years. Jaeger smiled like the praise. That's it, he said. If you were to live and serve as I do, you wouldn't be out of work for months and months. Gerazim made no reply. Jaeger was moaned to his master. Wait a moment, he said to Gerazim. I'll be right back. Very well. Jaeger came back and reported that inside of half an hour he would have to have the horses harnessed, ready to drive his master to town. He lighted his pipe and took several turns in the room. Then he came to a halt in front of Gerazim. Listen, my boy, he said. If you want, I'll ask my master to take you as a servant here. Does he need men? We have one, but he's not much good. He's getting old and it's very hard for him to do the work. It's lucky for us that the neighborhood isn't a lively one and the police don't make a fuss about things being kept just so. Else the old man couldn't manage to keep the place clean enough for them. Oh, if you can, then please do say a word for me. Igor Danilek, I'll pray for you all my life. I can't stand being without work any longer. All right, I'll speak for you. Come again tomorrow, and in the meantime, take this 10-copy piece. It may come in handy. Thanks, Igor Danilek. Then you will try for me? Please do me a favor. All right, I will try for you. Gerazim left and Jaeger hastened up his horses. Then he put on his coachman's habit and drove up to the front door. Mr. Sheriff stepped out of the house, seating himself in the sleigh, and the horse galloped off. He attended to his business in town and returned home. Jaeger, observing his master was in the ground hammer, said to him, Yegor Fyodorich, I have a favor to ask of you. What is it? There's a young man from my village here, a good boy. He's without a job. Well, wouldn't you take him? What do I want from him? Use him as a man of all work around the place. How about Polycarpic? What good is he? It's about time you dismissed him. What wouldn't be fair? He has been with me so many years, I can't let him go just so without any case. Supposing he has worked for you for years, he didn't work for nothing. He got paid for it. He certainly saved up a few dollars for his old age. Saved up? How could he? From what? He's not alone in the world. He has a wife to support, and he has to eat and drink also. His wife earns money too, at day's work as charwoman. A lot she could have made, enough for a class. Why should you care about Polycarpic and his wife? To tell you the truth, he is a very poor servant. Why should you throw your money away for him? He never shoves the snow away on time, or does anything right, and when it comes turn to be night watchman, he slips away in less than time at night. It's a cold for him. You will see, sometimes because of him, you will have trouble with the police. The quarterly inspector will descant on us, and it won't be so agreeable for you to be responsible for Polycarpic. Still, it's pretty rough. He's been with me 15 years, and to throw him away in his old age, it would be a sin. A sin? Why? What harm would you be doing him? He won't starve. He will go to almshouse. It will be better for him to be quiet in his old age. Sheriff reflected. All right, he said finally. Bring your friend here. I will see what I can do. Do take him, sir. I'm so sorry for him. He's a good boy and he's been without work such a long time. I know he will do his work well and serve you faithfully. On account of having to report for military duty, he lost his last position. If it hadn't been for that, his master would never have let him go. The next evening, Gerasim came again and asked, well, could you do anything for me? Something, I believe, but let's have something. Then we'll go to see my master. Even he had no allurements for Gerasim, he was eager for a decision. But under the compulsion of politeness to his host, he gulped down 2 glasses of tea, and they betook themselves to Sheriff. Sheriff asked Gerasim where he had lived before and what work he could do. He then had told him he was prepared to engage him as a man of all work, and he should come back the next day, ready to take the place. Gerasim was fairly stunned by the great stroke of fortune. Or overwhelming was his joy that his legs would scarcely carry him. He went to the coachman's room, and Jaeger said to him, "Why, my lad, see to it that you do your work right, so I shouldn't have to be ashamed of you. You know what masters are like. If you go wrong once, they be at you forever and with their full fundings and never give you peace." "Don't worry about that," Jaeger Danley. Well. Gerasim took leave, crossing the yard to go out to get Polycarpic's room grabbed on the yard, and a broad beam of light from the window fell across Gerasim's way. He was curious to get a glimpse of his future home, but the panes were all frosted over, and it was impossible to peek through. However, he could hear what the people inside were saying. What will we do now?" said a woman's voice. I don't know. A man undoubtedly Polycarpically replied. "Go begging, I suppose." "That's all we can do. There's nothing else left," said the woman. "Oh, we poor people, what a miserable life we lead. We work and work forever, from early morning till late at night, day after day, and we get old, then it's away with you." "What we can do? Our master is not on one of us. It wouldn't be worth the while to say much him about it. He cares only for his own advantage." "All the masters are so mean. They don't think of anyone but themselves. It doesn't occur of them that we work for them honestly and faithfully for years and use up our best strength in their service. They are afraid to keep us a year longer, even though we have got all the strength we need to do their work. If we weren't strong enough, we'd go off our own accord. The master not so much to blame as Scotchman Igor Lake wants to get a good position for his friend. Yes, he is a serpent. He knows how to wag his tongue. You wait, you fool mud best. I will get even with you. I will go straight to the master and tell him how the fellow devised him, how he steals and the hay, and further I will put down in writing and he can convince himself to do a fellow lives about us all. Don't, old woman, don't sin. Sin? Isn't what I say all true? I know to adopt what I'm saying, and I mean to tell it straight out of the masker. He would see with his own eyes. Why not? What can we do now anyhow? Where shall we go? He's ruined us, ruined us. The old woman burst out sobbing. Gerasim heard all that, and it stabbed him like a dagger. He realized what misfortune he would be bringing the old people, and it made him sick at heart. He stood there a long while, sadness lost in thought. Then he turned and went back into the coachman's room. Oh, you forget something? No, Igor Danlake. Gerasim stormed out. I've come listen. I want to thank you ever and ever so much for the way you received me and all the trouble you took for me, but I can't take the place. What? What does it mean? Nothing. I don't want the place. I will look for another one for myself. Igor flew into a rage. Did you mean to make a fool of me? Did you? You idiot! You come here to make try for me, and then you refuse to take the place. You rascal, you have disgraced me. Gerasim had nothing to say in reply. He reddened and lowered his eye. Igor turned his back scornfully and said nothing more. Then Gerasim quietly picked up his cap and left the coachman's room. He crossed the yard rapidly, went out by the gate, and hurried off down the street. He left happy and light-hearted. The end.